Must I start now?
No, next week is fine.
Have you done the others already?
One thing that Hector Peterson told us, it is to not lie down when you've got a weapon that you have to fight with. Education, education, education. Whether it is primary school, whether it is high school, whether it is studying, whether it is someone in their 20s feeling that it was not worth it because they cannot get a job with a degree that they've just received, to fight for education, because that is your weapon.
I hope in future the narrative changes and includes a lot of voices that were part of the movement. Also, what I've noticed is that it's very patriarchal. There are no female voices that are represented in the Youth Day. I mean, people are celebrating your Nelson Mandelas, your Sisulus. However, the women who also took part in the youth movement are not being documented, and their voices are marginalized.
That time it was hectic, Baba. It was hectic.
I don't really know much about Youth Day, but what I do know is that like if it wasn't for the students that like protest and fought for like an equal education, I wouldn't be where I am, and I wouldn't like be able to go to like private schools and have the best education I can have. So, you know, shout out to them.
I don't think the youth really appreciates Youth Day. They're just going along with their lives. Maybe they should take a step back and look what opportunities they have today, unlike before, which is the history of why it exists now. It's just for the youth, and they should celebrate it.
I've got very sentimental issues with Youth Day because my dad was practically involved in the uprising of the youth of June 16. I think people sacrificed their lives. It was a very emotional time for a lot of people out there. I do think though that the youth today is really not doing enough to embrace this.
Youth Day to me means that you get to celebrate a legacy that has been left behind.
And some of my friends, they were actually cops. I still speak to them now and then. It was one of the most horrible days in the history of this country, and we don't ever want to go through that again. Hey, Carmen?
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that we come from completely different generations. So Bonnie and I will always talk about the differences in how we grew up in. And I wasn't around when that happened, but I have to say, looking at it and watching it, it's a reminder as to, you know, the privilege we have as youth today, to not forget that. We tend to do that, but also to really appreciate the opportunities we have in making the country just really great for the next generation.
There's a whole lot of experience that rests with the older generation. I really feel that people need to go out of their way in order to help young people to get along, to understand each other better, and to become, you know, contributors to the economy.
The significance of Youth Day is that it was distilled down to one thing. It was the language of instruction in our black schools. But Chris Hani, shortly before his death in an interview, said that was a symptom. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. The actual reason was the unfairness of the system, from cradle to grave, from education to healthcare, the works. He was the one who said, it's everything, guys, and everybody has to be on the same page. It was a wake-up call for everybody, the entire country. It brought the national problem to an international focus, and basically the genie was out of the bottle. From that moment on, it wasn't going to be stopped. And we're still not there. We're still on that journey towards an equality that is fair and that is valid and that is, well, sustainable for the future. I wish the youth of our country the very best in their endeavors to make sure that this dream is realized and in our lifetime.
Jacaranda FM.